right in. Republicans, gap closing here. Goes for the shot. Heavy damage done. Holy crap. First line down. The last games we're going to get to see on this patch. Oh, no. Oh, it's so sad. This siege-heavy meta, which is probably still going to be the new patch. Oh, this current patch that we've come to love. No, actually, I think a lot of us are kind of bored of it. Let's just get it over with. This is why I come to these games. These lads, these Leviathans, the Muslim versus Bee on high view with French versus the Abbasids. This could be interesting because every time we watch Bee, you never know what you're going to get. And the last time we watched Bee playing as the French, I felt like I got French kissed by the strategy because he went for the Chamber of Commerce trade, which is actually viable on this map. Less so for the French than the Mongols that we've seen Vortex use the Silver Tree build for. But I've got a feeling it's Bee. I wouldn't put it beyond him to attempt on this map. We'll have to see. And of course, on the other side, the Abbasids are going to be manned by Muslim. Muslim, it feels fitting whenever he plays the Abbasids, right? I mean, it's fitting religious-wise. So, you know, kind of surprised he hasn't made this his main civ yet. Just got to kind of roleplay your name. But I'm kind of intrigued to see what his opening is going to be up against the French. If he is aware of the Bee doing this build, because I believe we did watch a game on Altai where Bee done the French trade build, and it was against the Muslims. So he might anticipate the possibility for Chamber of Commerce. So I think the most important detail on the opening for Benny Boy here is to keep vision. And that can be a frustrating detail when you play as the Abbasids because you don't go for a second scout. Bee, of course, has already got that second scout out, so he'll yoink as many sheep as possible. It's more important for him because, remember, he wants as many sheep as possible to float him on the sustained economy before he moves out to pocket ecos in the feudal age transition when he should be stronger. As far as the Muslim goes, he doesn't care about the sheep. It's all about the berries. And the berry patches are really nice. He's got one initially near his main TC and then a secondary one just behind. So overall, reasonable generation, actually. Like, the two wood lines, they create a natural defense point. Third one here as well. Oof, he almost got an enclosure there, which is pretty nice. Overall, I feel like the Muslim has a reasonably defendable location. He will be vulnerable to the right side flank, but this can be addressed by one or two outposts, which you'll probably want to be doing on high view when you're up against the French anyway. You want to spot out these night raids before they come out of the tree lines, and that's the big kind of paranoia. This is why I think a lot of people still put plenty of value in the French here on high view, is because of their ability to rapidly punish opponents who don't play vision. These trees, they're everything. They allow you to just instantly jump on something before someone can react. Whereas on a map like Dry Arabia, yes, it's open, but they'll see you coming. My issue usually around the French here on high view is that they suffer from the gold vein placements. You can see it here as well. This gold vein is very far out, quite exposed. So if you're up against another tempo type civ, it's always possible they move out quick enough to deny equity here. I've actually seen English players move out with Lombos early, drop an outpost in the forest, get into a ram, and then push in on the gold side. You don't even need the ram, right? You just move here with Lombos, you poke and prod, you bring it forward a few spearmen, and it means that the French player doesn't have any easy answer because if you build school cavalry, your only choices really then are knights or horsemen. Knights, you need gold for, and if you go for the horsemen, your opponent has been producing spearmen as well, you have no clear answer. So, opening will be standard, though, for Bee. We're not going to get treated to the Chamber of Commerce. He hasn't, he's not Banker Bee today. He might be a word we use in the UK beginning with a W that rhymes with banker. From the Muslim's perspective, because it means that he will be getting into those knights early on. And like we said, although you have these natural defenses to the south side, the east is going to be exposed. And that is where the Muslim wants to extend himself because of the berry lines. So he will have to fight for that area. I doubt it's going to be given over for free, but he already understands the state of the game. When you are playing against the French, as the Abbasids, you need to open up with the racks to ensure you have the defense against the early heavy cavalry. And Bee now going to the mill. This should set up nicely for the wheelbarrow in the beginning of feudal. This is something a lot of people like to do. It's very efficient for the French, remember, because they get economy techs for 30% less. So it's a hefty discount for them, which means they're usually able to access wheelbarrow a lot quicker than other civs would when they go for the quick feudal time build. And there you go, straight away. Only 35 wood and 105 gold. Meanwhile, on the other side, 50 wood, 150 gold. You see how that adds up, right? It doesn't seem like a lot when we compare that price. Like, ooh, he saves like 60 or 70 resources. But it's across the board. This works for everything. It really does scale. It's why the French were surprisingly effective when we were in the middle of the Pro Scouts meta. Just because they were able to access Pro Scouts quicker and then zerg the Scouts almost as quick as any other Civ. The only one able to exceed them was, in fact, the Rus. And here we go. Yeah, so B has got the vision. And he will see the reaction of the Spearman. Now, this should inform him that his opponent is likely going for a secondary TC, and he's about to get the confirmation around the other side. Usually when you go for Spears as an open like this versus maybe Horsemen, it's because you're playing a more condensed style of the Abbasids. But that condensed nature will leave room for that secondary TC, as we can see with 4 people already beyond the stone. And the walls are going to go up. The reason the Muslims are only putting 4 people on the stone, by the way, is with this quantity of people on wood, in conjunction with the fact that he is palisade walling himself in, the timing should add up fairly similarly. Oh, B. He's going to sneak one in. Whoopsie. Not sure if he wants that fight, though. He's going to stick to it, surprisingly enough, stubbornly. The Scout's trying to get in as well. They're blocking the way in. But what are you waiting for? He's waiting for the next knight. But this knight is already heavily damaged. He gets rid of the first spear. Second one doesn't come across. Oh, my God. He'll get the wall up in the end as B shifts the Scout out of the way. But one knight already in. And look, the other one could just go through here. He can just take a little sidestep to the right side, and he's already back in. And this is frustrating for the Muslim. At least this time he has enough spears to get rid of that knight. So overall, a decent trade. Frustrating to lose the villager. B already being 6 eco up. But as long as the Muslim can be quick in that second TC, he will now recover. Because he has got fresh foodstuffs. And he's almost got the required quantity to build that town center. And remember, the Abbasids are actually the most efficient Civ in the game at going for secondary TCs early. Because of the fact that they've discounted the cost of their villages by 50%, it means that when you build that secondary town center, you're now just back to paying the standard price of villages. Only you're getting 2 for the price of 1. Question is, what is B's move now? He's going into the blacksmith. He wants to get that free tech. This free tech is kind of surprisingly effective. A lot of people don't maybe give it enough credence. The reason you want to get this blacksmith upgrade is because once you get your hands on the carbonization, or whatever the first one's called, I always forget, the melee upgrade, your knights now do enough damage to cycle charge and insta-kill villagers on the second hit. So he'll go in with the first one for 30, and then afterwards, he'll go down to 20. See how that math works out? 50 health on the villagers. This is why it's important. If anyone's wondering why their French cavalry rushes aren't quite potent enough, that's the reason. If you don't get the blacksmith up down and then instantly get given that upgrade on the melee for free, your knights will do enough damage with a charge into a sword strike to put a villager down to 2 health. If you have that upgrade, it adds 2 damage into the equation, which means that you're able to strike them for the 50 across 2 attacks with the charge into a strike of a sword. It's really efficient. It's very important to get this. I've noticed a few people kind of like not getting it when I was looking through some kind of mid-level ELO games. And that's why it doesn't work, so just thought I'd share that information, because I think it's a really interesting detail that's usually overlooked. Especially considering when you drop the blacksmith, it's just given to you, right? You just get the upgrades. Oh, okay. And now he's going to get the riveted. So he's going to look for the ranged protection, allowing him to dive even better. And Chivalry might be coming soon. Yep, already on the way. 30 seconds out. And then B will be able to heal up these knights. And he's already got 3 that are sustaining heavy damage here, so it will definitely have its value in the coming minutes. And B, I can't believe he's been allowed to exist back here. The Muslim sees this and he just kind of allows it. And I'm wondering why. I guess it's the spear situation. He doesn't have enough spears with 1 racks to protect his eco lines and get rid of the vision. And then you can see the effect, right? Like, he has to stay here. He is sniping 1 or 2 of these knights, but all the while, B is maintaining info on the back of his opponent's base. He sees the secondary TC. He understands how condensed the Muslim is. For the moment, Benny Boy is safe, but soon, because he's gone for a secondary TC, because he's fairly condensed already, he's going to have to extend out, he's going to have to take more territory, and that's where B will look to pull him apart with the rapid aggression that the French knights give you. And look at this, B. Oh, this guy has a town center fetish right now. We've been seeing him do it as the Rus a lot, but here we are. It's time for the French TC expansion. And he's already moving out down here, I think. Yeah, onto the deer. Gold and wood. This is a juicy one. He's even pushing the deer towards the town center. But no, he goes even deeper. He's going for the back corner stone outcropping. A surprising choice here. I feel like he would have benefited a lot from this location on the deer, but it's fine. He can bridge between the primary TC and this. It's fairly feasible in this generation, especially considering that the Muslim isn't aggressing. Instead, all he's doing is bodying more spears. And no, the wolves, they got up too late. The knights are in again. And although Bee might not be able to snipe any of the villagers, as long as he doesn't insta-lose these knights, they're wasting the Muslim's time. He has to pull his eco lines back off the gold, off food, every time he approaches. And he shifts by. Oh, the walls, the walls! Bee, he makes his way through, but he can't get the charge out, so he can't insta-tap down the villagers. He'll turn around now for 1 or 2 touches, but it does cost him a knight as a result. Greedy boy. The knights going to continue to shift away. One of them barely limping away alive. So there's some curiosity about what I mean by bridging. When you have a secondary base, the nice thing to be able to do over time is to connect these via infrastructure. The way you'd usually do it here is you can just extend your military base out this way if you choose. In this case, Bee is going to the left. If he wants to go towards farmlands, it might make sense to move them out on the right side here and then wall the front here, creating a natural choke point in this area and condensing any entrance into your base onto the west side where your military district is. This is a very popular play for players who are playing from a position of aggression. They tend to field their military base at the ford or entrance of their base because they don't need to worry about it being the first thing to fall when they're attacked, because they shouldn't be attacked in this day. The Muslim. Now into the Camel Archers. Camel Archers are a phenomenal solution against the French, by the way. And it's the reason why, actually, the French Abbasid matchup is so closely matched, about 51.4% win rate in favor of the French, is because if you go French cavalry and your opponent goes to the Camel Archer, this Camel on ease takes away 20%. A huge chunk of heavy cavalry's damage. Even more so, for the French, it hurts them even more because remember, after a charge, as you can see there, they gain bonus damage for 3 seconds. So you're losing so much value on your knights. And archers coming out. It's going to be a frustration as the Muslim has only just started transitioning the archers. It means the Bee is going to be able to chase him away. Bee needs to be careful. Now, we see everything, but this is what these lads see. Barely anything. And Bee, he is playing with the devil here. He's doing deals with him. But it doesn't cost him. Knight gets away just in time. And it's so smart what Bee is doing here, actually. So he's shifting through. He's cutting corners as he weaves through here. He's baiting the Muslim to turn around. Otherwise, he gets charged by the knights. And every time, just before he'd get hit by the brace of the spears, Bee pulls back the knights, having given a vision to the archers that then snipe more of the Muslim's units. It's a really crafty play by the Russian player here. I loved it. It's the things that matter, right? The small differences. Sometimes you get the really big, flashy plays out of Bee, where you're like, holy crap. And sometimes it's something as simple as that, which is a big play. You just have to really dissect it to see it, right? You have to be looking at the player's perspective to fully understand it. Because make no mistake, folks, high view is a pain in the ass for these forests. If you do not bring scouts with you, if you do not have towers down, you never know what you're running into. That's why stealth forest is the most scary part of the game for me. That's why we so frequently see them change the entire outcome of games. There we go, wall ups to the south. So he hasn't done it on the north side yet, but notice what Bee is starting to do. We talked about it, right? He's condensing the entry points. So no flank attack over here. He can easily just expand and wall this tiny area in if need be. And I expect if he ever gets pressured by the Muslim, his next move will be to enclose either here or the left side. It'll be his choice. He can either force his opponent to go west or go for the north entrance. And that's where his army will fight him. The Muslim on the approach again. Benny Boy is saving up. For the moment, the Muslim does have the eco lead, but Bee is going to surpass him soon. Remember, they're both on 2 TCs, but because you are the French, it's more like you have 2.2 TCs, 2.3 TCs right now, because he produces villages out of them every 17 seconds as opposed to the 20. These archers are getting so many freebies. Surprisingly enough, the Muslim does not want to turn around, despite the fact that he probably could take a reasonable fight. And it's because of this archer differential of 5. He's too scared. He's going to lose way too many spears, and it means the knights might be able to fold over him. And instead, the Muslim has to run all the way back to his base, and this is all because of his gluttony. Look at his numbers. The Muslim, he didn't want to take this fight because he wasn't willing to double down or be forced to replace the army. Instead, he forfeits the mid-ground, and as a result, in exchange, he will be able to access the Castle Age with a buffed-up wood and gold supply, ready and able to instantly build into those mangonels. Here we go, B though, he wants to fight still. Oh, the flank stack coming around the side. Spears are going to engage. They gap close so quickly. Big mistake made there by B. B, he had the vision, but not in the right location, and now he's in full retreat. B, he's nowhere near ready for the tech up just yet. He did transition to the farms as we were anticipating. He didn't go full into it, but it stings. This is the difference maker, right? Have a look into Muslim's base. Are you noticing where he got these eco leads? It's not just the benefits the Abbasids have in terms of the gathering rates on berries. It's the fact that he never went into farms. Meanwhile, B sunk a huge investment in this at the stage of the game. He paid for 7 farms. That's 75 wood each. That adds up quickly. I mean, that's what? 525? That's a big investment at this stage. That's a third of your tech up cost to go to castle. And you can see it in the effect. Like, you can see the difference, right? Did he ever actually play onto the deers? Like, so he got pro scouts back. Because we were so fixated on what was happening in his opponent's base. We never really looked at B's eco choices, because he did go into pro scouts, and he did collect up the carcasses. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Oh, this stings. The easiest deer to get. This would have floated him as well. That's 300 food on each, 350 food on each, right? That's a lot of eco that you could have been floating. That would have been the difference maker. You wouldn't need the farm in the transition. But instead now, B's about to get the bad news. The Muslim has completed the tech up. Castle Age achieved, which means his win conditions unlocked and instantly into the double mangonel on the ford. And a sizable force ready to fight. B's only choice is to try and force his opponent back towards his own base. But I don't know if he's going to fall for that. The Muslim's moving in. Scout will spot his army, though. Wrap around. Knights trying to breach through. Spearman moving across. He needs to get rid of the mangonel. He needs to do it right now and lose the archer battalion. Wraps in with the torches to burn it down. One salvo in is good enough. A lot of knights dying for this, though. One mangonel round shot coming out. Dodged out by B. And in the meantime, the archers, they're focusing fire on the knights. Big mistake made. The Muslim is going to be forced away. B keeps a quantifiable amount of knights alive. He finds the bang for buck, taking out 2 mangonels and keeping the archer lead here. The Muslim going to be forced to fight. Knights baiting him in. Archers firing back upon the spears which try to impede them. Knights can wrap around on the archers if they choose, but for the moment they engage with the spears. Spears now being upgraded to vet status, and that's where B needs to back up. Needs to respect the firepower that now comes out from the front line and the back of the Muslim's composition, as they are all veteraned up. B, this is hard pressed. Now he might be forced to just double back for more army in feudal as opposed to going up for castle now, because he did lose a lot of troops. Oh, but the Knights, the peel off B! He went in with a small group, and they are killing so many. The Muslim, he never got textiles. The mistakes have been made. At least the spears are going to come in now, but the Muslim, he gets stung there. 73 to the 80. It looks like maybe Benny was able to minimize the losses, didn't lose as many as he should. I think it was maybe 4, possibly 5 villages maximum. And now he's pushing in. However, he's surrounded. He needs to be careful. The spear count is depleting quickly here. And it means the Knights that have been renewed are going to get maximum impact. The wrap around the back. He has to cancel the mangonel. His army is going to be wiped, and the Muslim is going to be forced back to his base. What a play out of B. That was so well done. A small peel-off force, such a small quantity that it won't hurt his ability to take the main fight, but it will hurt the Muslim's ability to reinforce. Because Ben had to make a hard choice there. He either uses newly produced troops to get rid of this small vanguard force, or he sacrifices villages. Now, his choice was kind of a mid-ground, right? He brings across 2 or 3 spearmen, but then he also gets the shivs out. And what this costs is also a half valuable play for B, because a lot of idle economy happens there where you're not gathering on the wood line, you're still losing a few villages, and while that's happening, you're not reinforcing the main fight, which allows B to then take the win back in his base and propel forward once more. And this time, he's on his way up. Castle Age is underway. Tech up at the back, it's going to be the Royal Institute. B wants to end this game in Castle. He will not wait around any longer. The Muslim. The state of his eco is getting a little bit fragile. You're seeing he's now being forced to transition to farms, but he's doing it on the front side of his base. The worry here is if raids come around on the west side, he could be very well easily exposed, right? Luckily for him, his eco has for the most prioritized east side. But there is a lot of exposure here. Like, you can easily maybe try to ruin his daisy chain on the Golden Age. And as he extends to the backside here with the farms, that's where he's actually going to get pulled left or right. This is where B can possibly dominate here in high view with a few French knights just raiding the west side. Because it's going to be very hard for the Muslim to hold him in if he ever breaks through these choke points. B for the moment will delay additional farms going down by moving forward on the berries. Establishes a strong point with the double outpost as well. A beneficial choice here up next to the Stealth Forest will allow him to see the Muslim trying to sneak around to the sides. But for now, Ben is not willing to come out. Instead, he's going to carve up territory, take the back north corner. I like this, actually. This is really cool. So we just pointed out that because Ben is building his eco on the east side of his base, it is easier protected by his frontline troops, but it's also more exposed if he loses the fight. What he's now trying to do is bridge the gap. We talked about the ability for B to chain between his extension TC if need be. You're seeing this now from the Muslim, minus the TC factor. He wants to start enveloping this area, taking even straggler trees if need be, opening it up for farmlands and opening it up for a bigger military district that is also going to benefit him because he needs more space. If he gets more space, he gets his Golden Age unlocked. That's the big deal here. It's something that's easy to forget because there's so much to highlight about the Abbasids these days, but the original, the OG big benefit for this Civ was the Golden Age, and you need a lot of room to reach that 60 structure count, and that is your limitation on high view in a lot of cases, especially when you wall yourself in on the west side like this, so he needs this space, and he needs it desperately. A calming moment here. Outpost going to be cancelled. Sees the keep going up, right, and in now with the veteran Royal Knights. And he'll strike. There's not enough spears here to stop him. The Muslim, the timing on this, he has to peel back. The villagers, they cannot do this. More spears coming to the ford. A lot of them, in fact, but a few knights going to peel off, and there's going to be a massacre at the back. Villagers in trouble. They need assistance to go back to constructing. Archers reveal the spearmen. Villagers get back to work. And it looks like this formation from Ben is on point. He covers the north side and the south, and it should be enough time to get the keep up and force B away. Critical detail there as he establishes control and gets some much-needed gold into his economy. You can see how much he was suffering. He was drained to the bone. Negative gold, in fact. So this gold, this was do or die. Had B intercepted that, had he denied that from going up, this game could have been over in the next 2 minutes. Especially with the way B's playing. You see what he's doing now. He's extending outposts on the west side. This is the other thing. Because the Muslim has fully forgone playing west side at all, it means these two safer gold lines are never accessible. The good news, however, is because he was able to now secure this area with not only the 8k gold vein, but the 4k, it means that once resources get heavily depleted and the map's getting drained completely dry, he still has huge reserves of gold behind his base that at that stage might be easy to reach into when he has a critical mass of villages that he doesn't care if some of them die. And lines are truly being drawn now. B going in the trebuchets. He wants to breach this before true value is exploited by the Muslim. In the meantime, Magnell's the choice by good old Benny. A few more farms going down. How many are we up to now, actually? It's been a steady transition. We were highlighting this before, right? You try to do everything you can to delay going on 2 farms. And there's still boar available. B really loves playing towards the boar as well. We know this already from his ruse builds, but he does it with the French a lot as well. In fact, he's regularly been seen doing it for weeks now on high view with French. This is cool, by the way. He's leveraged all of the pressure towards the east side. The Muslim is forced to hard invest into protecting himself. Notice that more or less every move that Ben's been making is defensive. He tried for that one aggressive move to his opponent's base, got buffered back, and then once again, like the composition's defensive. These key placements are defensive. He's trying to establish a late game hold point in this north corner, but it means he's naturally, by default, surrendering everything south to B. And it means that B is able to invest a lot less resources into defenses in this area and achieve similar income results to that of his Abbasid counterpart. How many farms is Ben now up to, actually? It's quite a lot, right? Look on the villain, there is a farm number on the farm square. Don't know what people are talking about there. Been baited. That's what I get for listening to Twitch chat. They're trying to explain something to me. It's not making sense. We're going to focus on the game because the raid's in. B, he breached in. He got through. He got a tree and he rode in and he's in deep. So many troops are here. But the villagers are everywhere else. However, this was the threat we were talking about. This is the move we said that B can make. And he has a sizable force here. He's pop-capped. He wants to fight. And fighting into Muslim's base is the best way for him to do it right now. Arbitrators, archers, knights. This composition is solid. It counters out what the Muslim is doing. Mangonels will not save him either. The knights are too tanky. The royal bloodline's putting up to 310 health as a Castle Age unit. It makes them a Leviathan to slay. And now stabbing into the archer line. Wrap in, crossbows trying to get close to the archers as well. Barely any spears left for the Muslim. He needs to reproduce the army. He needs to do it stat. Because it looks like he might get wiped at this rate. Luckily for him, the new reinforcements coming around the back might be a saving grace here. As B, he knew he was eventually going to deplete his forces here. He was hoping he'd maybe be able to actually find some additional value, but no, the Muslim finds the value. He'll clean up the army, he'll reach Imperial Age, and now B is once again caught playing catch-up. Ah, I see what someone's highlighting now. Thank you. Big shout out to Simlo for that. Never thought to do that before. I just like to double-click and count it myself, like it's, you know, counting with the count. But yeah, 41 farms, so the Muslims made the hard investment, but he's fine at this stage. Like, it makes a lot more sense. I was more concerned at the early phase when B was making farm investments, but I love how he's actually curbed it now. Only 12 farms still built by B. I say I love it, but when you throw away an army like that and you don't achieve any sort of victory condition or step towards that victory condition, I'm then concerned because now you don't have surplus food available to inflate you again. Instead, you now need to make that uncomfortable transition to farms, and that's what we're now seeing out of B. As he sets up a new mill area, surrounds it with farms, he needs to get them all in line. He needs to do it stat. Because right now he's in catch-up mode. Trebs will at least keep the Muslim on the defense for the moment. The golden hat upgrades coming through as the archers already yeeted up into elite status. And you know those spears, crossbows, everything else is not going to be far behind them. And it looks like Benny, he's going for it. Composite bows. Now, this tech reads incorrectly. It actually isn't a reduced reload time of 25%. It's a reduced reload time of 33%. This is a phenomenal boon, especially considering that B's composition does suffer against this. The archers and the arbitrators will not hold well unless you use the Pavis. And one thing I will know, at any level of play, people do not like using Pavis. Because if you use the Pavises on the arbitrators, which gives them an additional 5 ranged armor, you can't move them. If they move, they lose the Pavis. By the way, another ridiculous detail about this, I can't remember if they ever fixed it because I haven't seen it used recently. Pavis had a bug where instead of giving you an additional 5 ranged armor, it was setting your ranged armor to 5. I believe they fixed that recently. I hope they did, because this activatable ability is already terrible as it is, without the fact that it was just nerfed into the ground because of a bug. Trebs in the meantime trading out. Difference, however, is one person is bothering to protect their buildings. However, the Muslim is struggling to keep the repairs up. You can see his wood is heavily depleted. And remember, keeps require wood to repair. Move out though. The Muslim wants that center area. As soon as I mention wood, he says, wait, that is a holy circle of wood. I want it all. That's going to force a knee-jerk reaction out of B. Posturing differently, moving around the side. And it looks like Bee's ready for the tech up. Red pass in the center. He understands the resource is going to be important here as the game goes on. It's going to be wood. Wraps in with the knights, sticking on top of the archers. But remember, this crossbow's in the mixer. It's not a good fight for Bee. Bee has to peel back. And these arbaletiers, he's dropping the pieces. There you go, up to 5 ranged armor. The bug still exists. And although he reduced the range damage, there's not enough here to hold the fight. He's trying to buy time for the tech up, and Red Palace will be complete in time. However, the Muslim might have that old classic just trick against the French that's worked throughout history of going around the fortifications. And this monastery location from Bee. An ambitious one, to say the least. He has gathered up 4 relics, but it is a wee little bit exposed, no? Luckily for him, this is mainly ranged forces, so the Muslim will not be able to snipe that out, so he has still got the passive gold for the time being. Maganel shot's coming out. The Muslim went a little bit too deep. It's going to burn the force. He's attacking on 2 fronts right now. Only the trebuchets. A whole siege battalion here. Bee! He needs to attack with them right now. Maganel shot's coming out of the front line dead. The Muslim didn't bring enough troops to the party. And instead, he will be sent home with a heavy hangover of springles in his head. Look at this. Oh my god. Remember what we said. We talked about this cool layering to the Muslim's base, that he'd have this fallback gold in the hyper late game. We didn't account for the B factor. The B factor is one of abnormal greed when no one else would think of it. As he's snuck across to the Muslim side of the map, and right outside his primary base is extracting all of the safer gold veins that Ben would have to fall back on. And that means that Ben's going to run out of gold first. Relics aside, the veins alone, B is getting more bang for buck. This is where B gets very scary, by the way. Look at this now. The Arbaletiers, he has the Gambesons. So these units can tank as a kind of pseudo front line now. They have the Pavis for the ranged armor putting up to 5, but more importantly, they already by default now have 8 melee armor. It is a ridiculously strong unit. Obviously, its health pretty limited. Wouldn't recommend using it as a frontline by default. But what it does mean is it can take more of a pummeling from a flank attack from, say, Horsemen if the Muslim ever makes that switch up. How has B still not got that relic? No! Come on! You almost had the Pentarchy. Oh, I can't believe that. Surely he's like, where's the other relic? There must be one more relic. It's literally sitting right there. I mean, in fairness, this is one of the biggest stealth forests I think I've ever seen on High View. This is ridiculous. This is the great forest of stealth here. You walk in, you never come out. Fight in the meantime on the north side, though. Cannons trying to siege through the keep. Going to be sniped out, though. Torch is able to burn them off. The Spring was out of position here. B, he robbed the army forward. It's mainly just siege, though. A few spears will sneak in, but that's not going to be good enough. And all of a sudden, although the Muslim might have these hefty, fast-firing elite archers in the late game, turns out B brought a bigger bow. The Springles are beating them out. They are just picking them apart. And it's so impressive. Remember, we're in the Imperial Age, folks. So that means 12 tile range due to the shot triggers. And oh my god, say it ain't so. B. This is so B. This guy does not like building units. We've been seeing this when he's been playing Mongols. He goes ridiculously heavy into siege. And it's no different with the French. He's building Republicans. He says, well, it's the closest to bald in the game, and I am playing against Ben. I guess we'll build a few of these. Oh my god. That front line is going to get massacred. The Muslims... Oh, I think he's outright countered now, unless he switches it up, right? Because he's going to build spears. Like, he wants the cannon fodder troops. However, they truly are going to be cannon fodder against multiple cannons here. The Republicans are pretty effective against mass zerging, which is exactly what going for spears is. For those, I've heard of some people confused by what zerging is, just to, like, you know, refresh for people. Zerging is when you have cheap units, basically. It's cheap units that you mass your opponent and overwhelm them with. And that's exactly what he's going to look to do here. And it means the Republicans are going to make short work of him. Apologies, looks like we got a weird little bit of lag on the stream. Hopefully that cleans up for you guys. Wouldn't want to miss this one. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be Le Banger of the match. But just a few more Republicans will just rinse him. Here we go. Shots coming out. Republicans. Not the big hit they were looking for, though. Nice split there by Muslim. He broke off just in time. Maximum damage not being achieved by B. B being forced to retreat away. Republicans, they remain trashed here. They get a reasonable shot out. But this shotgun is too short in the range. The high health ball is the only reason it's not dead already. And the repairs coming out. B, he's trying to keep him alive. They're slowly making it work. Repairs plus Republicans. R&R, which is what the Muslim's going to need after this. He just can't kill them. Oh my God. That is only 2. B, he's tested it now. Does he build more? I wonder. Is he going to be inclined? Is it time for 3, 4, maybe even 5 of the Republicans? Because they just done the business. That was surprisingly effective. Considering how that started and how terrible that looked at the beginning, that was damn effective. By the way, important detail here you might be noticing. Sacred Sites. B hasn't triggered it yet, but he could trigger a win condition now. Kind of weird that he hasn't triggered it, actually. I'm wondering what the thought process is here. There's realistically no reason not to, right? Definitely a weird one. I think he's just forgotten, to be honest. He definitely has some monks lying around somewhere that could be capturing this. But here we go. The Muslim going to move it again. Keep going to be built up by the Muslim, by B rather. Republicans, they're going to be fine. They'll back away. They can turn and burn here, though. The Spearman will get depleted quickly. In fact, he's rolling in for the archers. Oh, one Republican's almost dead already. The repairs are not quick enough. B, what is this micro? No! He can't keep it alive. They go down, and Republicans, they make your eco go down. 1,000 resources to build these units. And it's working for the Muslim. The Culverins are too damn strong. He's moving in. Keep is going to go up. That will stabilize B for the moment. Mangonels on the side are doing nothing against a single Camel archer that will find 2. What is happening? B trying to keep alive, but he's losing so many villages now. These elite archers with the reduced attack speed down to 1.12 seconds to wait for an attack. It's adding up quick. That's going to land a right in. Boiling oil is going to sting a little bit, but he doesn't care. These are good trades, remember. He has the fire arrows, which means he depletes the health pools that he spirals so quickly. And the repair crew might not be good enough to keep them alive for long. And it does feel like B is slowly losing control of this game. He needs a bounce back. He needs it soon. What's it going to be, though? Military district not being padded further, so he can't easily replace the lost troops. It's still only siege. And it means that the Muslim's just going to move in. The surprising detail here is that the Muslim is beating him back mainly with ranged units. Usually you'd be going for the torch damage, but instead, with the burning arrows, with the incendiary arrow upgrades, it's good enough for the Muslim to deplete the backline of siege. And it means that these trades are pricey for B. Ay, ay, ay. And a bigger issue starts to emerge. We're in the late game, you're up against elite Camel archers. At what stage do they just run past your front line? At what stage do they just raid deeper in? It's getting a little bit spooky. For a little bit here. Now, the only good news is the goal factor. If we look at income per minute, you can see the Muslim, he's holding on for dear life on this final vein. But he's had to transition into trade now. And he went hard into it. And he is juicing it up as well. You can see, yeah, he's getting huge returns on this trade route. It's only 55 gold and 10 wood, but when nobody actually has any gold, this is the difference maker. B doesn't have the same luxury right now, but he's going to be forced into it. Here comes the uncomfortable transition. Drops the marketplaces. Will begin now. He needs to hold that front line in the meantime. Defenses will buffer off the Muslim once more. It looks like we're going to have to sit back and park ourselves in. We're here for the long haul. This game is not ending anytime soon. My, oh my, what a game it is. A new keep trying to go up, but I think B is going to be denied on that one. It looks like there's no easy way for him to get it up quick enough. And he's starting to lose his siege workshops. Wood is going to become the budgeting factor. In fact, you can see it for the Muslim, but B, this guy is ridiculously phenomenal. I don't understand how he always does this. He gets so much resource off the map. It is incredible how much he's got in reserve. The Muslim is slowly being drained. Aye, aye. Question is it going to matter? Is B going to be able to survive long enough? He's building more keeps. He's slowly crawling back towards his main base. Apologies to the stream. It looks like I've got a slight connection issue at the moment. I will have a look at that when we get the chance. But for the moment, we need to focus on the game. Fight underway. Double keep up. The Muslim's going to get massacred here. The peppering of these swines that dare come into French territory. The Muslim has to turn and run. He can't afford to lose anything anymore. The wood factor, that's his problem. He's being denied everywhere. The red pass, the outposts. He can't actually access wood lines easily anymore. He's got barely any in reserve at the back of his base. And also, the other detail that's mattering here is until he scales the caravan route up to its full, he's losing wood as he's building these caravans. And I can't believe the way this has been read on both sides. It's actually incredible. So in sync, it seems, these two. And the Republicans actually, I mean, I don't know if I give them an S tier ranking, but they've definitely been contributing this whole time. And Springles, I feel like Springles are the better Republican, really, aren't they? You can just see how effective they can be. They go straight after the trebuchets instead, though. Not even sniping out the units yet, but they can turn around for them afterwards. And no, keep going down. B, he's starting to re-establish control, pushing out once more. He needs more ground. He's running out of places to build in the back of his base. And the trade is building. He's starting to get online. Income per minute, you can see it starting to be impacted here as B is stabilizing. Those relics kept him alive at his downside, and now the trade will follow through afterwards. And these trades are starting to look better and better. B, just superior. Pavis is down. Elite Arbalistry is functioning as a pseudo frontline against the ranged battalion attacking them. And it means the Spriels can clean up the other side. In the meantime, keep almost complete. Hasn't sniped the last of the villages. He doesn't notice them. Oh, B, he's going to get the keep up. The Muslims looking in all the wrong places right now. So new keep going up, which means that B is gaining more ground. The Muslims forfeiting a little bit more over. And the peppering comes out. And all he has to do is peel back. This is exactly what B wanted. He actually done this on purpose. He lost a few Springles so that he would actually be able to get this keep up. That was intentional. He noticed that the Muslim wasn't finishing the villager line, which is why he never retreated away and why he never cancelled the keep. And it means, once again, the Muslim needs to look for an entry. Now, for the moment, he does have one over here, as the red pass has not been rebuilt yet by B. But he might do it soon. And also, Core Architects soon to come out. Those wondering what Core Architects does, increases the health of buildings, you can see, by 30%. All buildings, in fact. So palisade walls, stone walls, forts, anything. This is the smart move that Muslim's making. If he can actually get rid of this monastery, it denies a lot of gold that B has right now. You can see, by the lack of surplus, B is heavily influenced by his gold income. He needs it to replace the siege every time. He needs it for knights. He needs it for arbitraries. The French thrive or die on their ability to find gold. Right now, they're just finding more deaths as they try to fight here. Republicans behind the walls are going to force the Muslim away for the moment. But just as quick as it looks like he's going to retreat, he stands his ground. Repairs not good enough. Another Republican down. Another 1,000 resource investment lost. And they'll start to burn onto it now. You see how the damage actually adds up. Just a few torches in there. The rest just coming from the troops. They fire upon it from range. And B really would benefit from some... The Great Stealth Forest is no match for the Great B. How many straggler trees has he killed here? Good God. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll check back in a few minutes because I feel like most of this forest is going to be gone. This is going to be grass nothing by the time we're finished with this map. Well, it's going to be no relics for B now. At least you've got a reserve for 2K. But Monastery gets burnt. He needs to recollect them all. Arbitrator's on a coffee break while they just watch the Horseman die. And here's the awkward point. B, he had to switch over. He had to go into the Horseman because he wants to save all the gold for the siege. Does this game even end? I mean, we're a few hours away from the patch, but I'm starting to contemplate what happens if this game goes through to the patch. Do we just never end? Because we're kind of in a never-ending state here. Both sides have decent reserves. They're not completely drained to the bone just yet. And they've actually established a way to scale infinitely, right? They've got their farms. They've got their trade. They're not going to burn out anytime soon unless it is through an emphatic military victory, which is hard to achieve with so many cannon upgrades. The damage being dished out by all the defenses from B. An unassailable castle here. Oh, looks like a Camel Archer did sneak into ways assailable though, and there were no outpost upgrades here. Whoops. Well, luckily for B, this is only one raider, but now that the Muslims identified it, I expect more are going to head that way. You can see a few Camel Archers moving down now. B needs to upgrade these towers. He's played a little bit too gluttonous here. And instead, he's going to go for the stone walls. Good move here. Protect the route. The trade must live on eternal. Meanwhile, on the front, the keep is being sieged down. The Muslims switching over into the bombards will be able to get through the keep. There's not enough villagers to keep it up. There's not enough troops to protect those villagers trying to keep it up. But this horseman transition could end up being spicy. However, he doesn't have an answer to the spears. I feel like right now, B is playing into the Muslims' advantage. Unless he gets anti-clump like the Mangonels, he has no answer to the spears with this composition. Republicans are kind of working to a degree, but I've still been underwhelmed, I have to say. Like, unless you can force your opponent into a fully condensed choke point, I'm not sure it works. In theory, Republicans should be really good against Phalanx Abbasids because they have double the amount of troops clumping up. It's just not seeming that way when we've been watching the fights. And I don't know if that's just because Republicans are that bad, or it's because the other ball in this fight, the Muslim, is that good at minimizing the casualties. And looks like he's trying to decap. Remember, the sacred sites were a little bit of concern, but the central one got decapped, so that's no longer a victory condition. And these two spears, oh no. Oh no, no, not like this. The front line is folding, and also so is his eco-scaling. As just two villagers are shivving down a lot of economy in the back. In fact, with their bonus damage, they might be able to insta-kill these guys before they move past them. And that's why finally a few arbiters will move back, but bang for buck. If you're the Muslim, you're happy with that. That's a hell of a good trade. Two spearmen go in, and they come out heroes. Admittedly in body bags, but they're still heroes. Arbiter is in a little bit of trouble. Hand cannoneers now in the mix as the Muslim. He's starting to get a little bit spicy here. And all of a sudden, those big reserves that B had built are being depleted. Wood is the only thing he holds huge quantities of anymore as we check back in with the Straggler Tree Battalion. They're almost done purging the forest from existence. The Muslim continuing on in the meantime. More ground being given over. But B, how much more ground can you give? Rapin looking good. If you can get the bombards, this is worthwhile. Horsemen committed to their duty here. All the bombards are going to sink. The Muslim in a little bit of trouble with this loss. Will not be able to siege deeper, especially if the trebuchet goes down as well. And the commitment is good. B, he can afford food eternal. And they find their value for it. And Republicans, they can deal with the spears if they turn onto them right now, but instead he's going to back them up completely as they wheel away. And the keep. Continued build by the Muslim after he's interrupted. We'll look to establish that control. And it looks like B cannot contest it anymore after losing that many horsemen. The important detail is B has stabilized. He's not hemorrhaging anymore. As long as these keeps remain, he holds his base. And the keeps are critical to his success, as this is turning into a full-blown siege. I mean, I know the 100-year war was between the English and the French. We at least got one of the correct parts for this reenactment, but it's starting to feel that way. As neither side will give up. And now, with these stone walls going up, B will ensure his trade will be protected again. No raids on the side available to the Muslim. The Muslim, like, how are we looking actually right now in the trade for both sides? So the Muslim is up to 28 total. Meanwhile, B, he's sitting at 57! What? Oh my good God. Remember, you can toggle, by the way. You can change what you return if you ever deplete something else. But remember, right now, B doesn't need another resource. It's just gold. That's the thing he's limited in. Not anymore, though. Over 3,000 surplus. B looking to build either a throne of gold to rule from or a tomb made of gold to be buried in. Revolticans. Focus fire onto the elite Camel Archers. Camel Archers taking heavy damage here. And a pricey investment, 240 resources each. And so easily wiped out by the line of cannons. We're back away again, and we are never ending, guys. Being the Muslim, just sticking a flag in the ground and declaring, we like this patch. We're going to be here for 4 more hours. It feels like it could go that way, as we are now 50 minutes into this game. No sign of it letting up anytime soon, but the Muslim, he sees a chink in the armor. Maybe an exposed weakness. B, quick to knee-jerk react to the side, though. Gets in position, deters his opponent away. Leaving right in. Revolticans, gap closing here. Goes for the shot. Heavy damage done. Holy crap. First line down. Second line almost gets wiped, but one Revoltican gets taken out. That's enough to force the Muslim away. And you see how intimidating these Revolticans could be when they take their shot, when they blow their load. Because they hit heavy. 50 damage, 12 burst attacks. Good lord. But it's all about those choke points. You need to force the funneled areas. When there's a deep line, that's where the Revolticans will shred their opponents. Like here, which is why the Muslim peels off. He needs to spread wide. He cannot spread fit. He cannot layer himself deep. Otherwise, the Revolticans pull him apart. Right now, the only good news for him is these Revolticans don't have mass clump targets to take out. But once again, they're stabilizing good old B. And the cannons on the side able to easily snipe out the tanky Camel Archers. And these Revolticans, 576 health makes them such an effective unit to roll in like this. Especially considering the Muslim has no way of reaching them. The Spearmen are not the answer. The Muslim desperately needs horsemen, yet he still does not have them. I know he has camels, but it really feels like he's fielding ostriches, because right now, this Civ, it's like he's got his head buried in the sand. If he cannot get rid of these Revolticans, he cannot approach with spears. And I feel like the Muslim kind of got baited by his earlier success. Like, he actually found some success with those archers originally, right? When he got the incendiary arrows, his ability to quickly burn down the siege was realized. Yeah, on the Spriddles. The Revolticans, a little bit more tanky, though, as you can see the difference in health. And it means that they're usually going to get a splash attack out, maybe even 2 before they get burned. And that might get them enough value in the trade to begin with. Yes, it's a 1,000 resource unit, but let's say you kill 8 Spearmen. 10. Actually, 10 seems more realistic in these situations we've been seeing. You almost even up to the cost. And that's 156 health for Spearmen as well. Still doesn't feel tanky enough. The Revolticans once more into the breach. Good shots about to come in here. Heavy fire, has to peel back, peels back just in time. Minimize the damage. And he splits up. The Muslim, what a spread here. Revolticans not able to find maximum impact. They're looking at size, but they're going on to individual targets instead of the clustered formation. And it means the front line will fall. B's about to lose a lot of artillery. Movement in, Revolticans looking to clutch this at the end. The repair crew comes out, but the Revoltican goes down. Second one to fall. No savior here. And that's a heavy cost. Needs to retreat away. The Muslim on the approach will look to snipe out a few of the retreating units. Cannons are tanky enough with the 15 missile resistance to get out of range. And this is why the Muslim keeps going into the range composition. It's up against the Revolticans, it's effective, because remember, the Revolticans, although they have a lot of raw HP, they only have 3 missile resistance. However, the cannons are becoming the bigger problem now, because a lot of the Muslims' army is fairly static and fairly pricey. If you actually consider these mini bombards, if you will, the good old hand cannoneers with their 1.12 movement speed, I think they should have dropped the ammo to run a bit faster, because they are just pins for the bowling balls to target from these cannons. And these cannons will one-hit kill them. 240 damage per shot on a 150 health unit. Bee trying to get another keep up. It never ends. Push in from Demuslim, trying to deny the equity there. Doesn't want him to re-establish territory. Republicans rolling out once more. Maganel's now in the fray. He has the answer to the long-range formation. And this is where Demuslim might be in a little bit of trouble, because he does not have any anti-siege. He has been playing the Abbasid dynasty for the last hour, and it feels like for a large chunk of this late game, it has not included any siege. Not any siege to deal with his opponent's army anyway. It's only been trebuchets and bombards. Everything has been targeted at the keeps, and this is something Bee has continued to exploit, as now he makes the pricey transition. He hoards his pennies. He saves his savings. And when it's time to splash the cash, he does it. A battalion of hand cannoneers are now his front line, an effective front line with 150 health and plenty of damage to eviscerate anything that walks at them. Is it trade check-in time? 62 now. Ben only at 30. You know what the incredible part about this is? Ben's traders are cheaper, and he also gets added benefits, right? Compared to Bee, who has to pay more. He pays 50 resources more. Do you want to know why this is so much better for Bee, though? It's because he has the length of the map. Ben doesn't, because he never came out here, because he's always having to push forces back towards Bee's base. And it means if he ever shows his army on the west side, Bee is going to drop forward, slap down another keep right next to his base, and it's more ground that Demuslim then has to reclaim. That's why he doesn't go to secure a longer trade route. It's because his static army would make him displaced. And when you're done killing trees, a type of repollination occurs as it's time for farms. I tell you what, Bee's workers, they learn a lot of professions in their lifetime. They became elite status woodcutters, and now they're elite status farmers. There's barely any trees left. These Magnels are a problem. The Muslim still not having an answer. Mago shots coming in, forces him back. He can't take these fights, not without anti-siege. The Muslim's in trouble here. He needs to get into the culverins, but he's pop-capped. Look at the numbers right now. This is the baffling part about what Bee's done here. Because the Muslim has to keep going for these cheap bang for buck units, he's not using his population efficiently in the late game. One of the biggest deals in the late game, why we talked about why archers suck so badly in Imperial and beyond, is because at that point in the game, a new resource emerges: population. Every pop cap point counts, and every single one is now being used well by Bee. From the siege choices to a small contingent of knights, and then the hand cannoneers. Hand cannoneers being the premium unit you could choose here. So smartly done. Bee. Are we thinking wonder victory at this rate? Might as well. It's not like it's going to hurt your economy with these numbers with the way he's going. Bee is looking to change the French. It's close by, but he's looking to convert them into the Swiss, as he's going to take up a career as a banker at this rate. And Demuslim, a heavy chunk of the force is gone. At least we'll make room for new troops. But the problem is he's producing them too fast. He's still not getting the culverins out. And that means the siege is still not answered. And that means this army is about to be thrown away. Demuslim, this play is intentional. Make no mistake, folks. This is not a miss micro. This is not a whoopsie-daisy. Demuslim, he was hoping to maybe snipe out some of the trade. But the big goal here was to draw the forces away. With Bee going behind his base, once this army is wiped, Demuslim will have enough time to replace it. And this time around, it will include culverins. And there we go. Army gets cleaned up. Bee. He'll realize what just happened here, though. The front line is potentially exposed if there's a push out instantly by Demuslim. The bad news, if you're a Benny Boy fan, is he doesn't really have the resource reserve to be able to afford premium units again. This is the issue. This is the awkward issue. It all comes back to this earlier play from Bee. To line this side, to strip it worth its gold, and then keep defenses in place. At no stage has Muslim been able to maximize his trade, and thus his pop cap issues are haunting him. Meanwhile, B is just thriving. This is ridiculous. These numbers are absurd. Build a monument. Do something with it. This is getting ridiculous. And B understands that the Muslim doesn't have the same reserves. Because if he did, he'd be building hand cannoneers still. He tried, remember. At one stage, the Muslim had a few hand cannoneers in the composition. He can't afford a maximized line of hand cannoneers the same way that B can. B can afford to lose this entire army and then instantly replace it. His only limitation is whether he can produce it quick enough. That's the sad part for the Muslim. The Muslim tried to win this game based on a bodying of numbers, because the bigger leverage you have in this phase of the game as the Abbasids is that you are able to produce your units much quicker if you have the Golden Age unlock. With the 20% increased production speed. You want the bad news, folks? He doesn't have it. He never daisy-chained it in. We are an hour into the game, and the Muslim does not have Golden Age 3. Oh, no. So much lost value here. It hurts to see. You hate to see it. And now the Knights are in. There's a slight gap in the line, Mr. Benny boy. And it is something that B is going to exploit. Knights will get cleaned up, but he shrugs. He can replace them so easily. More ground given over as the Muslim peels his forces back to deal with the Knights. He maybe exposes himself a little bit too much, but the Culverin's able to snipe out some of the Spriggles. Spriggles rolling away. Hand Cannoneers will shred the pursuing Man-at-Arms. And this is the issue with the Abbasids at this stage. Man-at-Arms is simply not going to cut it. That wasn't even intended pun to do with their swords. It's just the truth of the matter. Hand Cannoneer on Hand Cannoneer, but like we said, one side can afford to replace what they lose, and that side is not the Muslim. As there is an over 18,000 gold differential between these two sides. That's just one of the 4 resources. B is beating him in all of them. Oh, B. I mean, he is the Grinch of Highview right now. He will not let the Muslim have his Christmas, as there's not much that this lad can afford anymore. And this, we don't get to see it too often. B, he's a high-tempo, aggressive player. He likes to play Rapido, Age of Empires. People kind of saw him as this rushing type player, this cheesy type player in times, or this innovator in the mid-game. But this is what B was known for in StarCraft. B was phenomenal at exploiting late-game scenarios, draining the map dry, and then making every trade subpar for his opponent. And that is what he's done here. This economy seems unlimited right now. Replace these numbers with an 8 on its side. It seems appropriate because the Muslim will never find a way of shutting down this trade without exposing his own. And that, funnily enough, ironically enough, is a trade he's not willing to make. And the Muslim finally moves Trebs across, but it's so late in now. The reserves that have been built up, you're playing catch-up now. And you still need to reclaim the ground on the east side. B moving in. Hand Cannoneers ready to play. Focus fire on the front line of spears that charge in. Knight's already gone. Now into the Hand Cannoneers. Hand Cannoneers having 150 health. Steps them back. Needs the Roboticas to the front. Roboticas could clutch this fight for him. They come in. They shred the sides here. Archers in the meantime picking apart the Hand Cannoneers, forcing B away. B trying to build a new one of these keeps, but he's building it too close to the front. He's going to have to sacrifice the villages and will not get it up. And the Roboticans, now they're going to shred. Watch how quickly these archer lines go down. Shots coming in. Heavy damage can be done. But he can't keep them alive long enough. But it doesn't matter because a small contingent of Hand Cannoneers after the focus fire comes in the Roboticans is enough to clean house here. The Muslim is once again going to lose the army. And guess who's going to be back to build another keep? Do you want to take any guesses, folks? Bzzz. That noise is all the Muslim has heard in his subconscious for the last of an hour. Because B has been the most annoying buzzard imaginable here. And it never stops. Sacred sites can all now be claimed by B. The Muslim. It feels like you're an hour in, you might as well hang around, try to come back again. It's like when you're playing poker and, you know, you've already put in 90% of your full stack. You might as well put in the last 10%, right? And it feels like that's all B is away from the finish line, 10% away from winning this, because you can see how close we're getting to the Muslim's base, and he doesn't have the same line of keeps that B established in his own base. It has to also be highlighted that B got additional value out of his keeps, remember, because these were reducing the cost of his archery ranges and stables. Which, by the way, important detail, folks. Archery ranges having their costs reduced. What's that affecting here? Those premium hand cannoneers. Not only has he had better trade eco, but he's had more efficient scaling into hand cannoneer battalions. Benny Boy is paying 120 resources over here. Meanwhile, in Le Francais, it is Le Magnifique 180 resource for this unit. And that's another reason why he's been able to keep building this quality army while continuously increasing his resource reserves this entire time. Oh, what a god. The Muslim, it almost feels like he's a little bit lost now as he tries to rebuild the forces. I think he's prepping for one big Ura. The issue he has is, look what he's doing instead. He's trying to split and go into every different direction. His base is a lot smaller than B. B has a lot more territory. If he chooses to all in on this play of trying to cut in everywhere at once, B can just strong arm through the east side and he'll beat him to the punchline. But now Sacred Sight's going to force his hands. He needs to decap somewhere. He needs to do it soon. Moves on the central one. All these defenses are problematic. Oh my god. The cannons getting through another one of the keeps. The Muslim's so budgeted on wood, he can't afford to try and pull back to repair it. Instead, he's had enough. He's frustrated. He's burnt out. An hour and almost 10 minutes will come to a close as the bzzz will finally end.